All right, welcome everybody. We are back after a small little break, and we had some things that we needed to take care of, and we actually had another recording. This happens when you start a podcast, and we had the complete settings all messed up, and we're going to have to re-record that one. It was a really good one.
It was.
And it was a lot about the supplements that we have and that we sell here in the office and that Darlene uses as part of her protocol. But we're going to re-record that one and get that one out. But today we really wanted to talk a little bit about cholesterol and really kind of talk a lot really about the small changes that add up, by choosing the right kind of fats and cutting down on the unhealthy ones. You're taking these real steps towards, a better cholesterol, healthier you. It's one of the big things that Darlene talks a lot about when she's doing her HRT program and with her patients. And so, as you talk about this with your healthcare provider before you make any big changes. And there's some misnomers out there. There's other things, whether with around medication, traditional Western medication. And so Darlene's going to talk a little bit about really how to take care of your heart and some of the things that you can do today to make yourself a healthier, happier you.
So I just wanted to clear up some confusion about what cholesterol is, what fats are. So there are a few different types of cholesterols. There's triglycerides, there is total cholesterol, there's LDL, and there's HDL. So the HDL cholesterol is actually the good one. And sometimes people will come in and their HDL is really low. When that happens, it's just as bad as having a bunch of cholesterol, like your LDL being elevated, because you are not protecting your heart. You need the moisture from the good fats to help with the functionality of the heart, the joints, the brain function, all of that. So if we are not eating the good fats, it's just as bad as eating the bad fats. Okay, so what I wanted to do was kind of like talk about what they are and how to limit and when to not go overboard. I mean, there's a few things that can cause problems if we're not careful. So I wanted to start with that and kind of get a little bit practical on that.
Perfect.
Okay, so the biggest thing I guess I really wanted to bring out is how to take some of those bad fats and switch them for the good fats, and therefore you're actually killing two birds with one stone. I hate that saying. Why do I always say it? But anyway, so for instance, butter. Butter's not so good for you, actually. It is better if you kind of replace your butter with, say, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, to be exact. You don't want to do just olive oil because sometimes they will mix that with vegetable oils and you don't want that.
So that was like cooking with those type of things?
Mixing that with cookies and whatever you are doing, making a sandwich, a grilled sandwich, grill it with the extra virgin olive oil versus the butter, and that definitely helps. Snack on a handful of almonds instead of chips. You can do a few different things to kind of like modify your diet, and we'll go over that a little bit more. But let's talk about the bad fats. So bad fats are called saturated fats or trans fats. Okay, saturated fats are found in high fat cuts of meat, full fat dairy, butter, and processed foods. So when I say full fat dairy, that means that 100%, full fat. You want to look more for non-fat dairy or 1%, maybe 2%. And then you're kind of like okay in the trans fat world. These fats raise LDL cholesterol. Okay, this is the bad guy. Good fats are the heroes. They're the unsaturated fats, which include monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. They can help lower the LDL and raise the HDL. It also reduces the triglycerides, okay, which with all that reduces your total. Your total cholesterol is the total of all. So these fats are found in foods like olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish like salmon and mackerel. So yeah, not all fats are the enemies. I remember when I was probably around 20 years old, I met a girl who had her degree in health, and I asked her one time how to, eat well and stay on, reduce fat content and stay thin. And she said, fat makes fat. And that rang true for me for so many years until I started learning more about the fat. And I don't know which school she went to, but it was kind of interesting. Fat actually doesn't make fat. Good fats actually help you lose weight. Bad fats, which are the trans fats, can help you gain weight. So it's interesting how my thoughts have changed. It's funny though, because I thought it was so true for so many years. And so we do take these people who are educated in these things. You think that they have been educated correctly, but not always. So do your homework. Okay.
Now, how does those, you talk about fats and diet and things like that, but are you going to talk a little bit about like the heart side of things and how fats?
Yeah, because these are interesting because the saturated fats are the things that solidify in the arteries and cause atherosclerosis, which is a long word, but what that means is heart disease or cholesterol buildup, fat buildup in the arteries, which can then cause hypertension, cause stroke, can cause blood clots, all of that. So if any of those little atherosclerosis pieces break off, they can float into the heart and cause a heart attack as well. So you've got to be extremely careful on how much fat you take in. If you've been taking in trans fats all your life and you're my age, and you're pretty much part of everybody, the whole world, right? We all have done that. So you probably have a little bit of atherosclerosis. So just make sure that you follow up with your cardiologist, and that reducing your trans fats can help you with reducing that and eating a clean diet. So clean diet is something that I would like to talk about again on another podcast. Clean diet, basically, just so you can understand where I'm coming from, is a one ingredient food. Don't go getting the packaged foods. Don't go getting things that are already pre-made. Make your own. Go get one ingredient foods, vegetables, fruits, herbs, meats, chicken, fish, those things that are really good for you, and take it home, make your own. And that is going to keep you the healthiest you can possibly be. So I really feel like these changes, these small little changes, can add up. By choosing the right kinds of fats and cutting down on the unhealthy ones, you're taking steps towards a lower cholesterol and a healthier you. But honestly, depending on who you are talking to, and what your situation is, things might change a little bit, because eating too much of the good fats can sometimes be bad as well. So be careful with how much you eat. I always tell people, too much of a good thing is not always a good thing, okay? Too much of a vitamin, too much of a mineral, it can build up in your body. Too much of the good fats can be bad and actually can cause, you to gain weight if you have too much. Kind of hard to do that though. If you're really listening to your body, you're gonna notice a huge difference in the way you feel if you eat too much of it. You'll want to puke. It's just too much. But I wanted to kind of go over a few other things, how you can kind of change what you're eating now into something that's very similar but good. So change the bad for the good. Let's start with baked goods. Okay, you've got those store-bought cookies, pastries, and donuts. How about you try your homemade versions using olive oil instead, coconut oil, butter, and moderation. Moderation is the key word. Whole grain muffins sweetened with fruit or honey, dark chocolate squares, or energy bites made with oats and nuts. Those are kind of like a healthy way to transition out of the baked good world, because those baked goods are using lard. Lard is what solidifies in your arteries. Okay, so be super careful. Lard or very, very fatty butter.
I remember you telling me one time, look, if you're wondering what you're eating is going to solidify in your veins, look at the bowl or look at the plate you just ate, whatever it is, some type of oil or butter. And then after a certain amount of time, if it's hardened,
then it's not good for you.
Then it's not good for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember you telling me that before. And I'm like, I always look at that, because even just the other night when we had olive oil and we were dipping certain things in it, and later on that night to do the dishes, it was still liquidy.
Yeah.
So that's something healthy that you could take in.
Now, there are some that don't follow that rule, like coconut oil. Coconut oil, that can be a little bit harder, but you eat that in such moderation that I don't think that would be an issue, because it's so good for you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about fried fast foods. Those are horrible trans fats, right? French fries, fried chicken, onion rings, hamburgers. Try instead oven-baked sweet potato fries, air-fried vegetables like zucchini sticks, cauliflower bites, grilled or baked chicken strips with whole grain breadcrumbs. I mean, that is definitely a little bit better than what we traditionally get, because we're in such a hurry on the way home from work to get some food. Driving through Kentucky Fried Chicken. Nothing against Kentucky Fried Chicken because it's pretty darn good, but don't eat it if you are trying to reduce your trans fats. That can go a long way because if you can stay away from the trans fats, you won't end up having to be medicated. You wouldn't even have to take a supplement, which I put my patients on bergamot for high cholesterol. You could get off of those eventually too if you're bringing down those trans fats and those cholesterol levels. A few other little tricks is like microwave popcorn. Instead of using the microwave popcorn, use like the air popped popcorn using olive oil, maybe on the stovetop. Packaged snacks, instead of chips, snack cakes, processed crackers, do nuts and seeds, do whole grain crackers, fresh fruit or dried fruit. Those are really good. Watch the added sugar in the dried fruit though, because the dried fruit, just to make it palatable, they add a lot of sugar. So be careful with that. And frozen foods, frozen pizza, toaster pastries. Instead of those, make yourself some homemade pizza. Remember I told you about the single ingredients? Get those single ingredients, make your bread crust, and then put the toppings on it. Make it all fresh, and you'll believe me once you've had that, because if you've never had a fresh made pizza, oh my heavens, it's the best.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
And this is all an investment in your health now.
It is.
It's hard, because it's hard for everybody because we're, so inundated with work and everything in life and kids and all that. Just think of it as an investment in your life, in your health, and you want to be around with your kids later on,
And if you want a copy of this sheet that I'm reading from is one that I hand to my patients if they need it, and it's basically labeled health alternatives to trans fats. So I'm just basically going down it. We talked about so many different things that you can modify. There's a ton more on this sheet that we can talk about in person, or I can even send this to you, because margarine and shortening is like the worst thing. I don't even know how it even came about. It should not be even consumed at all by humans, and that you just need to replace with olive oil. Maybe butter in moderation, but olive oil again is the very best go-to for that. Avocado butters, nut butters, those are good too. I just wanted to bring up one more thing, because people think those packaged biscuits or pie crust are really good, but they're all made with lard. So in order to keep them together and in the fridge and able to unroll, etc., they use the lard. So try to do the homemade biscuit recipes. Some people have done like a Greek yogurt dough recipe, and those are really good too and healthy. So bonus tips: keep some staples on hand. Okay. That's your olive oil, avocado oil, nuts and seeds, so that you don't just get all hungry and go eat whatever is in the cupboard. Whole grains like oats, quinoa, and brown rice, fresh fruits and vegetables, chickpeas, lentils, black beans, low-fat yogurts. All that stuff is really something that you should keep in the fridge or in the cupboard so that you don't, have a craving and then go binge on something that's not good for you. So, I know it's easier said than done, but start in moderation. Do your best to start taking out the bad fats and introducing the good fats. Okay. If you want a copy of this, we'll actually put it in the comment section. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We'll put it in the notes below. And these are some of the things that we're going to kind of start to dive in a little bit deeper into and bring those type of pieces of information, because when you come in for a consultation with Darlene, there's a lot of information. So we wanted to try to break it down into bite-sized pieces and make it a little bit
15-minute podcasts are what we're hearing are people's favorites, so that we could just get to the point and be done with it. Yeah.
Something you can easily consume. Just take
during your coffee break.
Real quick. Absolutely. Definitely, we thank you guys for joining us along on this one, and we really would appreciate a thumbs up, and to share this with your friends and family. And please consider subscribing to our channel. All the support that we can get continues the work that we do here. And if you're interested in coming in and seeing Darlene, you can do that here in office or via telehealth. You can go to OptimumHealthMed.com. That's OptimumHealthMed.com, or you can call at 801-756-1404. Book an appointment, come in, see Darlene, and she can start helping you to get to a healthy, happier you. And we appreciate you coming along, and we look forward to the next video, and we will see you on the next one. Love ya.
Love ya.